You're listening to Podcast PXN,
a video game podcast
delivering player experience news.
Let's go!
What's up, guys? Welcome to Podcast PXN episode 137. I am one of your hosts, Rashan, aka Roro, and I am joined over Discord by Kentucky's number one Spartan. You rose through the ranks. You were number 3 last week. Now you're number 1 again. Daniel Prindle at his at Daniel's DTM on Twitter. I'm sorry, I'm bumbling through this. But I'm also joined by host of Large Popcorn and video essayist Christian Macias, who put out a video essay last week, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, very good. Mm. How are you guys doing today?
Dan? I'm here.
You're here. I'm surviving.
I'm having a great day.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it, Christian. Yeah. And thank you, everyone in the chat, for watching live and participating with us. Just as a reminder, we are live each and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, just search, and Twitch. Just search Podcast PXN, and you will find us. The topic of the show this week is Square Enix's trade deal with Embracer Group. But before we get to that, gotta munch on some quick bites right now. Oh. Get our, taste buds tasting, I guess, before we get to the big meal that is our topic of the show and the PXN news of the week. So let's go ahead and jump right into quick bites. The first quick bite here is Bungie speaks out in support of Roe v. Wade. On the Bungie blog, the developer was outspoken in its defense of the 1973 judgment. You can read the statement below, and I do, and I will. The statement reads, at Bungie, we believe that everyone has a right to choose their own path and that freedom is expressed across all facets of life. The leaked draft decision by the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn Roe v. Wade represents a blow to freedom in America and is a direct attack on human rights. By creating a divide between those who possess the fundamental right to make healthcare decisions that are right for them, and those who do not possess that same freedom. This decision should not become final, will have far-reaching consequences that will be felt for generations across socio-economic lines. Bungie is committed to safeguarding the freedom and privacy of its employees and providing support to all affected by this decision. And they go on to link some ways we could support people. The Urge Unite for reproductive and gender equity, as among a couple of others. So they not only did they have some words, but they got some actions to back it up as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. Bungie is not, shy. They usually do stuff like this, whether it be Black Lives Matter or other trans rights stuff in the past. So it's good to see that they're keeping up with that, and because as they said in the thing, it affects their employees, so they want to stand by it and make sure that it's a good company to work at.
I have 4 things to say.
Yes, please.
First of all, top of it, most important, abortion is healthcare. Number 1. Number 2, very cool to see someone like Roe, a Canadian, talking about something like this, right? Because this is happening in America, and but it's still a very important issue. So Roe, thank you for putting us at the top of the show.
Of course,
love you. Number 3 was also very cool to see Bungie in the replies on Twitter, with people replying against the stuff. Bungie just ruthless in the replies, and it was very awesome to see.
Yeah,
I loved it. And 4th, they are still currently the only video game company to openly stand up against this. The only ones. Would love to see. I think it would be great. Granted, this is currently still only the leak is it hasn't happened yet, right? But it's still, I think it's very important to be openly against it now before it actually happens into law, right? Because this is the only time protesting would be actually effective, is make sure it doesn't happen, right? So it would be very cool to see other companies openly speak up against this as well.
And Bungie is a private company, so for people to say you need to stop with the politics and all this, it's they're allowed to have their viewpoints however they feel that best suits their studio. So why are you responding in that way? They're allowed to say whatever. If Bungie believes that taking a spaceship to the moon is the best course of action and they tweet that out, they're allowed to do that. They can do whatever they want to do, guys. don't give them hate because they have values that don't line up with someone else's values. Like, yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah.
And also, like, people get it twisted too. This is the last thing I'll say about this. Like, people love to say, like, when they think abortion, it's like only like, oh, I don't want this baby. It goes so far beyond that it's like insane that these things get constantly, what is the word I'm looking for? Conflated. So like, yeah, again, this is why I thought the first thing I said, abortion is healthcare, because there are many things that go on beyond just like, I don't want this baby. So yeah. Last thing I'll say about that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Just wanted to shout out Kurok in the chat. He is here. He has joined us. Hello, Kurok Craft. Thank you for joining us here on Twitch. And let's jump right into the next quick bite. Sonic Prime gets a teaser. Netflix revealed a bunch of new animation animation shows that are coming to their platform later. And there's a quick little teaser for Sonic Prime, an upcoming animated Sonic show on the platform. It was very short, but we got a little tease of Sonic doing a little run, collecting some rings, and he got a little dialogue at the end. He's voiced by Devin Mack. I believe this is his first time voicing the character, but I thought that was really cool. He is a black VA, and he has done some pretty cool stuff in the past. Total Drama Island is one of those cool things that he's done in the past, which is a Canadian television cartoon. Grew up on that, loved it. And the show will have 24 episodes, so I am definitely interested. It does look, I thought the animation looked really cool. I saw mixed reactions online, but I think it looks like a fun show. Very little, obviously, but I'm excited to see more.
I'm a little bit Sonic'd out after Sonic 2. I didn't like Sonic 2. You all know this. But like the fact that Devin is voicing Sonic, and like I think he's doing like a great job so far from what I've seen in the teaser, is enough for me to want to check this out. So I will be checking it out.
Definitely.
Trying it out.
Yeah.
All right. Moving into our next story, Hitman 3 director to lead Crisis 4. Revealed on Twitter yesterday, Hitman 3 game director at IO Interactive, Matthias Enstrom, will direct Crisis 4. He's wasting no time too, because Crytek says he begins work on the new first-person shooter this week. Quote, "We are happy to announce that Matthias, known for his work as game director for Hitman 3 at IO Interactive, joins the Crysis family as game director for the 4th installment in the Crysis franchise starting this week," end quote. So that's from their Twitter, by the way. Crysis 4 is on the way. How do you guys feel about this one? Like, do you think that's gonna? Are you guys excited for Crysis 4? I guess I should open up with, and then does this change anything? Increase, lower hype levels for anybody?
I mean, I was excited for it before, just as a big Crysis fan, and I think Christian, you've played quite a few of them, if not all of them.
No,
well.
only the demos. But I love because like I never could afford like buying the actual games, but I've always wanted to, because I think Crysis games like look stunningly beautiful. Like even still, like if you go back to the original like 2 and 3, like those still look pretty dang. 3 looks still pretty dang good. Maybe at some point I should check out the actual like the remasters.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And Hitman 3 was a great game, so like it was easily the best Hitman game. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
Easily the best Hitman game of the new trilogy.
True. I haven't played the other ones actually, to be fair. Yeah.
So good. Yeah.
All right, moving into our next story, The Quarry, the upcoming horror game by Massive Studios, is that correct? Supermassive, the creators of Until Dawn. Their new game, starring Ariel Winter and Brenda Song, has 186 endings. This is from, I believe IGN was the first to get this story when they did like an IGN first for the game. And here's a little quote. "Those stories, as you kind of branch through, go wide, and they start to come back in again. It's kind of like a story itself in the variation, not always just the end. We worked out 186 different endings for these characters, not just alive or dead, but a whole variation of things, like what could happen to them. But the stories that can happen are massively varied." Ooh, that's exciting for anybody. Yes.
Will you be playing this game?
I actually kind of want to play this game. Not gonna lie.
I think you should.
I think I will. It looks fun, and there's another thing that I added on here with the visual filter pack. I just thought that was cool that they had different ways to kind of like Ghost of Tsushima, how they had the different filters to make it look more like a samurai movie. They are doing something similar where you can make it look like an indie horror or a super old slasher film. Thought that was pretty neat too. But just the cast alone makes me want to try it, and the 186 endings makes it even more enticing to me. That yeah, hopefully it pays off and it is what they say it is.
Bro, I've seen in the post show, I guess, last week we went on Letterboxd and we're talking about movies. Bro, you have like a list of like horror movies on there. I would say like a lot of them on there are scarier than what is the supermassive game on
Until
PlayStation?
Dawn.
Until Dawn.
And Until Dawn. Like Until Dawn
Right.
was like way more like there was like suspenseful moments, but none of it ever felt like true horror. Like it was just like fun camp.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
if this is anything like that, I think it's something you could totally play. If that's your trepidatious kind of reasoning. why
Right.
you- yeah.
Because it's a horror movie. Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like some of my favorite horror movies are like the campy horror ones. Like, trying to think of a good example besides Scream. Happy Death Day is the most recent one that I really liked. So if it's anything like that, it's where it has those cheap scares, but it's just fun. Yeah, I'm probably going to be down for it. Need to give more horror games a try for sure.
I feel like Until Dawn was like that too. Like it had like those cheap scares in there, but like it was still, relatively mild compared to other horror games.
Yeah.
Dead Space.
Yeah, I'm never playing Dead Space. No, Dead Space on Outlast not going to happen. Moving on to our next story, Final Fantasy 16 is nearing the end of development. Quote, development on the latest title, Final Fantasy 16, is in its final stages, Yoshida says in the magazine. This is a Uniqlo magazine, by the way, that we got this information from, which is a clothing store in Japan. There's a free magazine that you can get. Of course, Uniqlo is in Canada and the US as well now. But there's an upcoming collaboration with Uniqlo where they have some really cool Final Fantasy merch coming out. So they interviewed Yoshida for the magazine. He goes on to say Final Fantasy 16 aims to integrate the story and the gaming experience into a single player game, unlike online, which portrays multiple players simultaneously. Final Fantasy 16 focuses on the individual. This makes the story more immersive. It's a very dense story. As an adult, I learned about society and said to myself, quote, reality is not as easy as a video game, end quote. I hope that those who once left Final Fantasy remember how exciting their passion for video games was back then, end quote.
What a quote.
What a quote. What a quote indeed. I am definitely excited for Final Fantasy 16. I really liked 15 is what I'll say. I don't know if I'll say I loved 15, but I really liked 15. Final Fantasy 7 Remake was awesome, so I'm definitely excited for 16. And we'll get into what you got for me later. And maybe I'm playing a Final Fantasy game. Maybe I'm not.
There's apparently rumors, and this is from GiveMeSport.com. So take that with what you will. Thinking that this game is going to release June 2022, which is like there's not a chance.
Wow.
Chance.
they better start advertising it.
Oh, the PlayStation Showcase event intro video had a sign that read Ballistea 0616. The actual intro video is set in a type of subway, including times for potential stops. Fans have taken this to mean that FF16 will be releasing on 16th June 2022. Yeah, no. I want to throw like, when do you guys think that, if it is in its final stages, when do you think it will come? Will it be this year? Because I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Even if it is close to being done, I can see them not wanting to release it this year. I don't feel like there's enough out there right now. Like they still have the summer, I guess, to show it off, but I think they want a little bit more leading up to release, and there hasn't been that much advertisement on it right now.
It seems like games nowadays have been taking longer and longer to develop, and Final Fantasy 15 came out in 2016, November 2016. So I feel like the earliest it would be fall of this year, but yeah, I'm thinking it'd be next year.
Yeah. Then again, we don't know what PlayStation has stored besides God of War potentially. this year, right?
Oh, for the fall.
That's the big one, right? So maybe Final Fantasy is that other thing. Who knows? But yeah, they have to let us know first. Come on, Sony, talk to us.
And actually, I have
Yeah.
what you just said, Ro. I have some thoughts about that to back that up in our topic of the show as well.
Ooh,
Yeah,
exciting. Well, let's keep chugging along so we can get there. New York City sues Activision. Activision is back in the news again for not a very good reason. This is just tradition at this point. Activision just wants us to talk about them, so they just keep popping up, and we will do that. Filed by the New York City Employees Retirement System on April 26th, the suit claims that CEO Bobby Kotick's rush to sell Activision following accusations of workplace misconduct has negatively impacted the company's value, ultimately devaluing the stock they own. According to Axios, the lawsuit alleges Kotick was, quote, unfit to negotiate a sale of the company, end quote, given his, quote, personal responsibility and liability for Activision's broken workplace, end quote. New York claims that deal not only hurt their financial holdings, but also served as a way for Kotick and other Activision directors to, quote, escape liability for their egregious breaches of, what is this word? Of
Fiduciary.
Fiduciary duty. I'm like, I've never seen that in my life. Fiduciary duty. Okay, thank you. Thanks to an action permitted by Delaware's Court of Chancery, New York City is therefore allowed to press Activision to, quote, open their books and potentially expose wrongdoing, end quote. New York City is demanding that Activision provide numerous documents related to Microsoft deal, as well as information regarding other possible buyers, descriptions of sales talks, board memos, and more. When GameStop reached out to Activision to comment on the lawsuit, a representative said, quote, we disagree with the allegations made in this complaint and look forward to presenting our arguments to the court, end quote. The article also goes on to say the massive dip in revenue for Activision Blizzard, but it also explains that gaming in general has been down since last year as well. But yeah, Activision cannot catch a break, and I don't want them to.
Yeah, I can't even keep up with how many lawsuits they have currently ongoing. I hope they get more.
Exactly. Yep.
And how many of them are mainly focused around how big of a piece of shit Bobby is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like at this point, like I feel like it keeps getting worse and worse, and we keep learning worse and worse things about Bobby Kotick. But the fact that he's still there and he's still like just chilling is like, I feel like he could kill someone and he could still keep working. Yeah. And in a way, he kind of is indirectly or directly responsible for someone's death already. But it's just like, what does this guy have to do to just not have his job, I guess? But yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the courts, whenever these cases happen, like end up deciding against him. Yes. As they should. Yeah.
Indeed. Moving on to another Activision story, Activision Blizzard has announced that Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is the next title in the franchise, surprising nobody, especially considering that the company had previously revealed this year's Call of Duty would be a sequel to 2019's Call of Duty Modern Warfare reboot. A new teaser dropped on Twitter today, or on Twitter, not today, but revealing the title and the logo for the sequel. And a logo it is. A logo it is. I know nothing about Call of Duty. I thought this was already a title for a Call of Duty game, but I guess the article says it's a reboot, so we're going back. But yeah. Christian, I saw you very excited.
Yeah, I mean, like, first of all, like the Modern Warfare series, the OG is like one of the most influential trilogies games of all time. 2018's reboot was, I thought, like a fantastic return to form of Call of Duty. It's like one of the most beloved Call of Duties of recent memory. Like I know the other one sold as well, but like if you're looking back, like this is the one that like people still play. In fact, I just played it this week and it's still great. So yeah, I think there is a lot of anticipation for the sequel based on what they set up in the reboot, and like we know it's going to be great. It's running on the Modern Warfare 2018 engine. The logo is hot. Like it's going to be a good time this year for COD fans.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Get some lapsed COD fans back in, like maybe me and Christian.
By lapse, you mean like people who didn't buy Cold War
Vanguard.
or absolutely
Vanguard.
Vanguard.
Moving in to our next story, Sands of Time remake update, and unfortunately, I mean it's good and bad. It's good and bad. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake. They have a little update for us on Twitter. The Twitter account tweeted out this: "Hello, Prince of Persia fans. The development of Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time remake will now be led by Ubisoft Montreal, the very birthplace of the epic Sands of Time trilogy. The decision is an important step, and the team building upon the work achieved by Ubisoft Pune and Ubisoft Mumbai will now take the time they need to regroup on the scope of the game to deliver you the best experience for this remake and all of an all-time classic when it's ready. We want to thank you all for the continuous support and patience throughout the development. Rest assured that we will update you on the progress in a future update." The dev team. Very good. Obviously, I said there's good and bad in here. Obviously, the bad news is that it's going to take a little while longer, I'm sure. But the good news is it's going back to, as they said, the very birthplace of the epic Sands of Time trilogy. So they know what they're doing over there, hopefully. And yeah, we could expect a good game after this once all the delays are done.
Dude, okay, I have to speak on this.
Yes.
I think this is great news. When I first saw this, I rolled my eyes and I was like, you know what, whatever, it's delayed, I don't care. And it wasn't until Tim Geddes on Kind of Funny GD, I always catch a little bit of it when I'm at work, just because there's nothing to do there. So I catch a few minutes of it, whatever. And Tim really changed my mind on this. He's like, this is actually great news because, well, first of all, you know, it going back to Ubisoft Montreal, I think speaks for itself, right? They made the original, and they're working on the remake. It's going to be a great game. So even if it takes a little bit longer, it should be a fantastic remake. So I'm very excited for that. That speaks for itself. The thing that really changed my mind about was Ubisoft Pune and Mumbai. The idea that they gave them a chance on like, let this newer team try it, right? And if it didn't work out, like it obviously did, they didn't ship out a broken product. They said, you know, okay, let's just go back. Let's work on it. Let's give it to another team. They still got the experience to try like a big project, which I think can only help that team with whatever they work on next. So I thought that was really cool of Ubisoft to let them attempt it. So shout out to Tim for changing my mind on just this whole news story.
Is Pune and Mumbai, are they like newer studios? I guess they were formed relatively recently, I'm assuming.
Pune, I think, is. At Mumbai, I'm not sure about.
Gotcha. Yeah, I like, you always hear about Ubisoft Montreal, and you're always like, they're making all these games, or Ubisoft Toronto. But yeah, these two names are definitely a newer breed that not used to hearing. So yeah, it's cool.
Well, there's another Ubisoft studio that I had no idea about either in this next quick bite. Sorry, Ro.
No, please. Oh wait, sorry. The next quick bite. Oh, the Ubisoft thing, the Ubisoft planning thing. Okay, sorry. This one I didn't get the chance to look at, but exclusive Ubisoft planning massive games showcase details releases for their 20 upcoming games. So yeah, go for it, Christian.
Yeah. So in this exclusive, there's updates on a bunch of games we already knew about. Of course, if you had an eye on Twitter, you saw stuff about Skull and Bones and how that's shaping out. Fortunately, it's not looking so good. You can read about that yourself. But in here, near the bottom, past Prince of Persia, the Sands of Time remake, there is another Prince of Persia game, unknown title. And let me read you this. A second Prince of Persia title is reportedly in the works at Ubisoft, with Ubisoft Montpellier being involved in the project. This game was described as taking inspiration from Ori and will be a 2.5D game. Additional details on this title were slim, but I hope to be able to reveal more shortly. Nonetheless, it does seem that Ubisoft is actively working on a second Prince of Persia title. That is awesome, dude. Going back to like the OG roots of Prince of Persia with Ori inspiration, with like gorgeous 2.5D art style, it's going to absolutely rock. And I think it's going to breathe a lot of new life into the POP franchise. Can't wait.
Ubisoft Montpellier, they're the Beyond Good and Evil team, apparently. Is that right?
You said Montpellier?
Is that? Did I just
Montpellier?
I butchered it. Sorry.
That is the French name.
Sorry.
Are they that Beyond Good and Evil?
Yeah, I just googled them, and Beyond Good and Evil 2003, and they're working on Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Oh wow!
Wow,
Yeah.
hold on. That's cool. But Ro, you said Rayman?
Yeah, apparently they worked on Rayman as well.
Legends?
Montpellier. I'm not sure which one.
Yes,
actually.
Legends, Origins, and Rayman 2 looks like.
That's good news.
Yeah.
That's good news for what?
That's good news. Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, they it looks like they chose the right studio for that type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, Ubisoft winning me back with this one news story. I love
turn it around, Ubisoft. Turn it around.
But like this is what we were saying. This is like what we want. Like cool new stuff like this. And look at that. I'm already excited for a Ubisoft project just like that. So
agreed.
Moving into our next quick bites, PlayStation is hiring an acquisition manager. PlayStation is hiring a director of corporate development to help identify acquisition opportunities and bolster its collection of first-party studios. The move mirrors a hiring advertised by Xbox last week for a manager of gaming strategy and development, as both publishers seek to purchase increasing numbers of developers. As reported by Video Games Chronicle, business analyst Robert Cenero spotted the job listing. The new director will lead Sony's corporate development team, which is responsible for identifying inorganic growth opportunities through acquisitions, investments, and joint ventures. End quote. The acquisition wars continue. PlayStation is drafting some people to continue in this war, and it'll be interesting to see what fruits bear from this.
Yeah. I'm of two minds with all these acquisitions. Like at one point, at one side, I almost don't like it because it feels like it's almost gobbling up of individuality and kind of teams being on their own, right? But it's like on the other hand, it's cool to see like smaller teams get picked up and then get funded to make games that they want to be able to make, right? Like we know Microsoft is going to be doing that with like the teams that they've acquired, right? To like fund those kinds of games, right? And PlayStation, of course, with their own first-party studios, usually has like a lot of belief in and what that team wants to make. So, yeah, like you said, bro, we'll see. What would you say? What fruit it bears?
What fruit it bears? Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like my earlier comment of teasing for the topic of the show, I have thoughts on this as well, tying into the topic of the show. But I think this absolutely marks the continuation of seeing more studios being acquired by PlayStation as well as Xbox. So yeah, stay tuned for the topic of the show.
Exciting. Moving into our next story, Overwatch 2 beta changes are incoming. Bear with me, guys, as we go through the changes for Overwatch 2. Blizzard has shared early impressions of Overwatch 2 beta and outlined what changes are coming as a result of player feedback. The biggest change is coming to support heroes, with Blizzard accepting feedback that there's much more interesting new content for tank and damage players to explore. Quote, "We believe the most effective way to tackle this issue is to add exciting new support heroes to the game," end quote. Blizzard wrote that in a blog post. The development team is working on updating current support heroes, though, similar to how Doomfist and Orisa received reworks. This is me talking now, which people really liked. They were super happy with the Orisa one in particular. Back to the article, which could be added to this beta, but will more than likely be inclusions in later testing periods. Blizzard also confirmed that more brand new heroes will be joining Sojourn ahead of official PvP launch, alongside more maps and features. The beta's UI, including menus, player profiles, and so on, will also receive, quote, significant amount of overhaul, polish, and refinement, end quote, ahead of the full release. The refreshed scoreboard, which removed both the fire and metal systems from Overwatch 1 and presented stats more traditionally, will be staying put, but Blizzard has further tweaks planned. A damage mitigated section will be added to track things like the amount of damage blocked or reduced by abilities, including Ana's Nana Boost and Baptiste Immortality Field. That's exciting that they're adding some new changes for the beta itself before even the game comes out, so that's pretty neat. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch or partake in the beta. I watched a little bit of Kinda Funny play it. But yeah, it looked like Overwatch.
That's
it looked like Overwatch. Yeah,
that's exactly what I like. I haven't seen the gameplay or anything, but like all the sentiment from people I've seen on the internet is like, this looks like Overwatch. Like people were complaining, this is literally just Overwatch. I'm like, well, that's what I already thought that it was. Like when they announced it, they were pretty clear. Like this is pretty much, just us updating the original Overwatch, just making it, a little bit different, making changes and stuff like that, new heroes and such. But yeah,
does that justify a full new game with a full retail though?
Yeah, it's totally fair point.
Yeah, I don't know if this is true, but it may not be. But I think if you own Overwatch, you get the multiplayer updates, right? You have to pay for like the single player and those types of stuff, but like the heroes that are coming, the maps that are coming, if you own Overwatch, the original Overwatch, I think you have access to Overwatch's 2 new PvP stuff. I think.
Oh.
Okay.
I think, but I know that they're separate as well at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like if there's like I don't know what Overwatch's usual is it 6v6 in the original Overwatch?
Yes.
And now it's 5v5 in Overwatch 2. So like how are you separating those two modes? Like I guess it's just Overwatch Classic and Overwatch 2. I'm sure they'll have like menus and stuff, but yeah. I'm not 100%, don't quote me on that, but I think if you have Overwatch, you can still play Overwatch 2 for free, the multiplayer part. But yeah, like you said, Dan, it's pretty similar to the original game right now. We'll see how much these changes impact the future, but I think the general sentiment is that it is Overwatch, and that kind of reflects the numbers that we got on Twitch, where they have dipped 99% now from what they were last week. Yeah, a huge dip in players watching the Overwatch. Of course, there were bigger streamers who were watching it, so that kind of affected it as well. So XQC and some big Twitch streamers were watching it. So obviously, there's going to be a lot of people watching those people, and when they stop playing it, then everybody's not really watching it as much. But at the same time, that's a big dip for people not being interested in this game just a week after.
You were correct, Ro. It is free if you own the original Overwatch, the PvP portion.
Okay,
So.
nice.
That is nice.
Yep. And Keurig says in the chat, it's like sports video games now. Same game every year, but the roster is new, something they can update over the internet.
Okay. First of all, I downloaded FIFA 22, and it plays way different than FIFA 20. And that's a 2-year difference, all right? And I love when they update the rosters. But you're totally right, though.
Moving into our, well, not our final quick bite, but the next one. Clippy is coming to Halo Infinite. Let's go. He's coming as, I believe, a lot of things. He's coming as a nameplate. He's coming as one of those chains. What do you call those, Dan? The little things that are ornaments that you could put on your gun?
Yeah, it's a weapon ornament, I think.
A charm, I think, is what they call it.
You're right.
Yes. Yeah, a little weapon charm. I don't think there's anything else, but he's coming. He's coming in a small way, but he's coming. So I'm happy for Clippy. Good for him. He's still making waves out there, even if they're small ones.
I'm happy that Clippy gets to play Halo Infinite.
Oh, no. Damn.
I'm gonna start playing Halo Infinite now.
Just for Clippy? Or just to spite
Dan?
Dan?
Just to spite Dan.
I hate you.
Oh my god. But before we get to Street Meet, Christian, do you have something to say about some indies this week?
Yeah. There's some new indies coming out this week. Of course, Loot River already released last year, but it's coming to Game Pass. So you can, as of yesterday, you can get Loot River on Game Pass, which I think is neat. A very cool roguelite game. That game still looks so fantastic. I haven't played it yet. Ro, I know you downloaded it.
Yes.
And then 2 new games coming out tomorrow. Trick to Yomi is one. Of course, that's been a lot of indie showcases. We're all very excited about that one. Actually, I don't know if we're all excited, but I'm excited. Ro might be.
Yes.
Really excited. Okay, cool. And then Citizen Sleeper, which I think is going to be a sleeper. A sleeper hit for people like me who are into like these like cool cerebral sci-fi games. Citizen Sleeper is a indie RPG game, kind of similar, like isometric, very similar to what was the detective game that just had like an Ultimate Edition kind of come out. The detective, the drunk, and you have a.
Oh, wait.
You mean
Disco
you hit a partner,
Elysium?
cute Disco Elysium. Thank you, Ro. I was blank. Yeah, very similar to Disco Elysium, but like obviously this is a sci-fi setting, got a very cool art style, and like leans into like just philosophical questions about like existence. You play as a cyborg, decaying cyborg with a human mind struggling to survive, and that like instantly sold me. Like I'm very interested. So
That sounds cool. The art for the characters,
right,
yeah,
cool art.
I know, I recognize the art too. I don't know the artist, but there was a game that I played last year called Bravery Network Online, and I believe this is the same artist, and that's really cool. So that alone, pretty neat. I'm excited to check that out. It's on Game Pass, so no excuse not to. But before
I have
we,
an excuse not to.
Oh, god damn it! I'm so sorry.
Oh damn!
I mean.
Moving into the street meat before we get to the PXN news of the week, possible PlayStation Classic games have leaked for the upcoming PlayStation tier system, which I blanked on the actual name for. What are they calling this again? The PlayStation Essentials. Is there a name for all of this together? I know Spartacus was the code name, but what was it called?
There? I think
Maybe there wasn't.
PlayStation Plus. I
Maybe,
thought it's just like a rebrand.
Yeah,
it might be just that. But yeah, I was like, what is the name for this thing? But maybe there isn't a name.
Is the premium PlayStation Plus Premium? Is that the one that has the classic games, or is it?
I believe so.
Okay,
I believe you're right. Yeah. So for the PlayStation Premium tier,
it's still called PlayStation Plus. That's the name. It's just overhauled now. Yeah. Okay.
Gotcha. Spotted by Reddit user the Anshrew, he found Tekken 2, Worms Armageddon, Worms World Party, and Mr. Driller for the original PlayStation, along with Ridge Racer 2 for PSP, have appeared on the PSN backend. Yay!
Sure. Yeah. Sure. When I think classic, I think Ridge Racer 2 on PSP and Worms World Party.
Yeah, none of these games are really speaking to me, but I'm sure someone out there is itching to play Worms Armageddon.
What is Mr. Driller?
I don't know. I feel like I've heard of that one though.
Well, look at this,
Mr. Driller.
It looks like a Connect 3, 4, whatever. It's
like a Puyo Puyo Tetris sort of thing.
Yeah. It does look cute, but like I don't think classic when I
yeah.
Puyo Puyo. That's a classic.
When I searched up Mr. Driller, the first thing that came up was Xbox as well. And Nintendo before I even saw a PlayStation box art. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they're really digging at the bottom of the barrel right now, but we'll see at some point.
What a place to start.
What a place to start, yeah. Technically these are leaks. Maybe they have some heavy hitters that Mr. The Ashu didn't find, but we'll have to wait and see.
And I'm sure they do because they already have like a decent collection now on PlayStation now, so
right.
Apparently, this is a big franchise. Mr. Driller Drill Land is on Nintendo Switch.
They're still cranking these out.
Yeah.
The more you know. Well, we've made it. We've eaten our little quick bites. Now it's time for a little bit of a larger meal, the PXN news of the week. So let's go ahead and jump right in. My article is loading, but the first story, there we go. The Nintendo contractors criticize culture and treatment at Nintendo. I believe we touched on this a little bit, but a little bit more has come out from IGN, from the Kotaku article. IGN's Kat Bailey did a little bit of reporting as well and found some more stuff. And I'm reading from Game Industry because they condensed it a little bit better, but I think Kat's article is really good, and she did a little video as well on IGN that I watched, kind of summarizing everything. So you should definitely go check that out. But I'm reading from Games Industry. Contractors from Nintendo of America have described a growing sense of discontent due to the disparity between how the company treats themselves and its full-time workers, according to an IGN report in which the outlet spoke with a dozen current and former employee sources. For example, the publisher is reportedly reluctant to convert and or hire full-time staffers, which has resulted in no clear career path for contractors to become NOA employees, and led to increased turnover for contractors as well. The company itself reported a turnover of 4.7 as of last year, as full-time employees commonly stay on for years or even decades. However, sources said contractors commonly exit the company in under a year. IGN reports, I didn't want to skip this one. This one was wild to me. One source said a death in the family forced her to return home partway through an interview process for a full-time position, which led to an interviewer telling her she had, quote, attendance issues. IGN's report notes some past business decisions that the company made were not well received among its staff, such as the unexpected shuttering of its Redwood City office location, which happened. I remember when that happened, and the infamous Nintendo Minute with Kit and Krista had to end. I was very bummed about that, but they have their own podcast now. All is well. Anyways, quote, the sense that I got was that a lot of people were working from home successfully. Then Nintendo closed the Redwood City office and said, none of you can stay in California. You have to move here or leave, a source told IGN. And that was just another nail in the coffin of the backward, antiquated way of thinking about a company. But Fils-Aimé also Reggie Fils-Aimé did an interview with IGN as well. Reggie said that during his tenure at the firm, the firm had routinely hired contractors as full-timers. He says, I've read the same stories. This division between contract and full-time employee. All I can say is that this is not the culture that I left as I retired from Nintendo. That's what Reggie had to say on the IGN report. But yeah,
according to Imran Khan, though, that is not the case.
Yeah, I was going to say some things don't line up. In timing, yeah.
There's more stuff I think out there that I haven't had the time to research. But yeah, I know Imran was tweeting about this. So
yeah, I don't think. Yeah, he did go a little bit deeper into it, but I don't think maybe it wasn't as heavy as bad. I don't know, but to say that it wasn't,
it might have been.
Yeah.
Well, it might have been a reference to just like the whole like, I don't know how far back the IGN article goes. Like it might have been just a reference to that article, and like there's some overlap between when he was there and this stuff was happening. Like, and then it just continued to happen after he left. So it might have been a reference to that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bummer to see that it's harder and harder for the contractors to get their full-time positions, and at a company that we usually don't hear this stuff from. It could be that just because of their secretive nature that we don't get to hear these stories a lot because they just don't. Nobody reports on them as much, but these things happen no matter where you go. We've seen it at PlayStation. Of course, Activision Blizzard, this is definitely a different type of workplace situation, but it's still a negative one all the same. So it's good to shed some light on it. And hopefully the contractors over there can be treated a little bit better following this. I don't see Nintendo kind of putting out a statement about it, but hopefully they're able to adjust and, treat their workers with a little bit more respect.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, sorry, Dan.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
It was crazy because we were just talking about like a small article that came out like 3 weeks ago about like the way Nintendo was treating its contractors, and then here we are with Kat Bailey, an incredible scoop of just getting like recountings of tons of contractors, which I think is stellar journalism. I needed. There's a video you said, Ro?
Yeah,
it's on going in depth.
It's kind of like a condensed version of her article on IGN. It's on like IGN's YouTube channel.
I want to check this out because this seems like must-see kind of journalism for me. I mean, especially as like a Nintendo fan, right? As people who want to see like the industry grow and be better, like this kind of stuff is important to see. Like, what are companies doing to their employers, right? Like, how are they treating them? Like, and just the comparison between full-timers and contractors. Like, it's insane how much like contractors just don't get treated as fairly. In all the companies in the video game industry, so sucks to see Nintendo being part of that as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add real quick that there was a quote at the end of the video from the same person who mentioned who talked about who was told she had attendance issues, was also speaking about her experience. She says she didn't realize she was on Death Island until she left Death Island. You don't really know how bad it is until you leave. I'm kind of paraphrasing here because it's a long quote, but she loves Nintendo. Legend of Zelda is one of her favorite things. But she says Nintendo seems to get away with stuff like this because they know how many people are lined up out the door to get in. So if Jen leaves, they're just going to hire another Jen, and they're people willing to do it for dog scraps, and it's not okay. So she left, and she said she's had better experience at other places, but misses Nintendo because it was Nintendo, So yeah.
And this is like almost like what the industry feels like right now. And I'm going beyond like just contractors. This is what I've seen from people who are like trying to make it as like freelancers, right? Who are like trying to enter like more of the journalism space, writing, especially with things going like more SEO oriented. It's like people are look at the IGN stuff with freelancing for the news. It's like $20 an article, right? For the biggest video game website like, ever, right? And they're able to get away with that because so many people are wanting to get in the door and like however they can, and they do it this way. You write a news article for $20. So yeah, kind of sucks.
Yeah, I completely echo your guys' sentiments. And as we've talked about many times on here before, like contractors just need to be treated better in general. It's just they, like you said, Christian, they don't have equal treatment to full-time employees, and they don't have the desire to necessarily work as hard for a company that may not really give a shit about them. And yeah, it sucks. It sucks to see that, and hopefully things can improve.
Moving into our next news story here, Xbox and Bethesda 2022 showcase has been announced. This is taking place on July 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. What can we hope to see here, guys? It's the Summer Games Fest year. E3 is not here, so Xbox is showing up. What can we expect to see here? I'm excited. What do you think, Dan? What are we seeing?
It's interesting because there's so much that we could see. Obviously, I think we're going to have a Bethesda heavy year this year just from all the projects that they have in the works right now. Obviously, with Starfield is the big one, but also Redfall from Arcane. There's the Machine Games Indiana Jones game, which was announced, but we don't know really anything about it. So interested to see if we see anything from that. Halo, there's no way we don't see something from Halo, whether that's the Battle Royale that Certain Affinity is working on, who knows? It's possible, I guess, that we see that, but we could just see like some teases about future content that's coming or something of that nature. But the BR would be a big announcement for them. But yeah, as far as things I would love to see, like Fable, I would love to see Fable shown off from Playground. I just cannot wait to see like what their take is on Fable, and they've done such a phenomenal job with the Forza Horizon games. So I feel like just giving them like open canvas, like here you go, you guys get to make whatever open world game you want to make with Fable and have at it. Like I'm excited to see what that team does with that IP. So but yeah, very exciting.
I don't think I think you're absolutely right that it will be Bethesda heavy. Like that's what I'm anticipating. Not to say other studios won't also be there. And the first studio that I thought of was Ninja Theory.
Yes.
That has 3 current projects, right? Dan, you and I got to see a look at one of them at the Game Awards, which is Hellblade: Senua's Saga. I know it's currently set with the launch date of late 2022. There's definitely a chance we get to see like another trailer or some kind of reveal with the date attached at the end of it. But what I'm hoping to see, and I don't know what the likelihood of this is with the team. Like I don't know like what their team consists of right now. If they have 2 teams, right, working on separate games, right? But I think they do. But what I'm hoping to see is another look at Project Mara, which is their horror game, which was shown off like a long time ago. And I'm really itching for that one. So anything Ninja Theory, I would love to see.
And one more that popped in my head, Obsidian, because they literally just keep cranking out games. It's insane. And very excited for both Avowed and Outer Worlds 2, which Outer Worlds was my game of the year from 2019. Good stuff.
How likely you said it might be a Bethesda heavy year. How likely do you think we see those leaks that we talked about a little bit last week, like the Quake reboot, the Elder Scrolls stuff, the Fallout remasters? That would be hot. Is that a possibility? Yeah. think so. Yeah, that would be hot. Yeah,
I would be willing to bet that we have a better shot of seeing the Fallout remasters than the Quake reboot, because obviously we don't know what what's the developer's name? id. We don't know what id's been working on since Doom Eternal. If that's Quake reboot, then I guess we could see that. But I'm thinking Fallout remasters have a better shot. I don't know.
Christian?
Oh, wait, no. This is an aside. Sorry. Oh. Anyone else on the remasters?
No.
Okay. How could I forget? With a new Arcane game coming out this year that we've only seen once, and it was a cinematic trailer. Yeah. We're totally gonna get another look, gameplay of Redfall. Most definitely.
Absolutely.
What about what was that other game? I don't think it was specifically Contraband. That wasn't anything.
Yes.
What was that? Who
Avalanche.
Was that was Avalanche. Okay.
Yeah, the Just Cause creators, which. The premise of it sounds really cool, like a 4-player co-op heist game. Sounds very interesting. I'm intrigued to see more from that game, but obviously we just got kind of a cool teaser from it.
Cinematic thing.
Yeah.
Oh, what about that Indiana Jones game?
Yes, from Machine Games. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, look at this, man. Exciting. Like a few years ago, people saying Xbox has no games, and look at them now.
Look at them
with one announcement of like, oh, there's a showcase in the summer. We can't even decide what we think is going to be there. There's so many options that could pop up.
I'm sure there's games that aren't even announced that we don't even know about. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's like
exciting stuff. We could look forward to that on July 12th, 1 p.m. Eastern. We hope to be possibly live reacting to it, right, Dan? Hopefully.
Yes,
if we can get some people.
If we can get someone to host it, because I will be in Florida.
Right. Okay.
So I'll have to connect with my iPad or something, because my internet there is probably not going to be good enough to stream.
Yes. Well, we'll keep you guys posted, and we may or may not be live reacting to that. But moving it before we get to what you got for me, quick fantasy critic draft check-in. Yes, you guessed it. Dan is still leading, but Christian is not far behind with 60 points. Trek of Yomi is releasing tomorrow, and that is one of Christian's games. Probably going to be a really good one. I suspect you'll get a lot of points for that one.
I'm a little nervous. But
you're a little nervous, really? Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. That's exciting then. Next is after that is Mario Strikers for me, Cuphead for the Delicious Laugh course for Christian, and following that will be Dan with Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak, the new DLC, I believe. Or
damn, dude. I feel like no matter what I do, I can't catch up to this guy. No. He picked some great games.
I picked up 2 more games last week. I picked up Xenoblade Chronicles 3 and River City Girls 2.
Nice.
So we'll see how those do for me this year.
Trek to Yomi is 12 hours away from reviews hitting.
Exciting.
Which doesn't bode well for me. I'm not going to lie to you.
It doesn't bode well?
No, the game's like out the same day, Granted, it's an indie game. It's different, but
yeah. Oh, I see. They didn't give him
but like Citizen Sleeper has reviews out, Waypoint call it one of the best games of the year.
Okay.
Where's the Trek to Yomi impressions?
I'm excited.
I need this.
All right. What you guys got for me? Christian, what you got for us?
Yeah, I've been playing a lot of multiplayer games with friends. Like every night we've just been hopping around between Modern Warfare, Fall Guys, Fortnite, stuff like that. A little bit yeah, those are for the most part. But then one friend and I started getting really back into Rocket League recently. The extra modes are always super fun just to kind of horse around with friends. And then once they all leave, it's like, dude, you down? And that's all we had to say. Like, you down? And then we go into competitive mode. And we've been playing a lot of competitive duos. So 2v2, Rocket League, square up because we've only lost one game so far. It's fantastic stuff. Played a little bit of Wii Sports. Had to go back to the OG, see what that was like. Again, still an absolute banger. And then tested out Switch Sports.
Ooh.
Can confirm volleyball is the GOAT of the new games. Volleyball is absolutely fantastic. It's so hands-on with obviously all the rotating you have to do in a volleyball game that it makes for like really suspenseful like rallies back and forth. Way more than badminton and tennis, in my opinion. The big bummer for me is that bowling hasn't hit for me. It doesn't. It's not fun to bowl online in Switch Sports. And you may ask, why is that? Well, you don't take turns bowling. Everyone bowls at the same time. So it's like 8 people bowling, and you have like 15 seconds to hurry up and throw your ball. The ball throwing is different. And it just feels like I'm bowling by myself. I want to watch my friend see how his pins are hitting. So that kind of sucks.
Was volleyball in Wii Sports? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's a new one. That's exciting. I haven't gotten a chance to play it, but volleyball definitely seems like fun. Live my haiku dreams.
I will say Switch Sports is almost a little bit of a grind. Like there's very little customizations options. And I mean very little. I'm surprised how little there are. And why is that? Because there's like these rotating packs of collections that you can work towards. And there's like a certain amount of days before like that collection gets swapped out for something else. And so you have to play games to unlock one thing. It's like kind of random. And like it kind of takes a little while. It's not too long, but like the bonuses you get for playing it, like it'll be like a win bonus and you get like an additional 6 points. And you got to reach 100 points to unlock one pack to open. That makes sense. So it's a little bit of a grind, not a lot, but yeah. Twitch Sports, good game, but some stuff I don't really like.
Everything's a grind nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be like that, huh?
All right, I think I want to end with you, Dan, on this segment, so I'm going to go next. I am playing Final Fantasy 13, which is a pretty old game, but it stars Lightning. She's really cool. She has pink hair and a really cool sword. And this is a game that I've been kind of trying to play for as long as it has been out, just trying to beat it, chipping away at it very slowly. But it's on. I have it on Steam, so got back to it. And I think the battle system has finally clicked, and I'm really enjoying it. I know Final Fantasy 13 isn't one of the best Final Fantasy games, but I'm really enjoying it so far. I definitely have my gripes with it, especially with the exploration, which is the most famous criticism of it, where you're just like walking down hallways all the time. You can definitely feel it. Even in the most open of areas, you're still such a claustrophobic space. But yeah, I like the characters. The gameplay is cool. But yeah, definitely not a perfect game for sure. What's going on, Christian? Why are you laughing?
Don't worry about it. I can include this as like an after topic of the show, like a fun fact, a video game fun fact for me. Okay,
sounds good. Daniel,
yo,
what you got for us?
Well, first I'll cover Kirok's games because he wrote them in the chat here. Yes. Horizon Forbidden West, Sifu, and Elden Ring are on the back burner for him as he continues his journey with Aloy. So I wanted to shout that out for Kirok.
Nice.
But moving into the games I'm playing, yeah, Microsoft can go fuck themselves, as I've been alluding to this entire podcast. I've been locked out of my Microsoft account for whatever reason, and I'm not going to go through the entire story here because it's literally a book long. The guys can tell you. I've sent it to them in the Twitter chat. But essentially, I got locked out of my Microsoft account, so I'm currently battling with Microsoft to try to get my account back and my hundreds of games that I own on that account and thousands of dollars that I've invested in that account and thousands of hours that I've invested in Halo Infinite every fucking week, getting the weekly ultimate challenges, every unlock and Master Chief Collection. All of that is all tied to that account. So yes. Not a very good week for me thus far. But yeah, Christian, you were...
Dude, I mean, you say battling, but it feels like you're the only one at bat for like this. You're getting like silence.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It's painful. It's literally the worst experience I've ever had. Like, not even like 7, 8, 9 years ago, Microsoft's support was phenomenal. Like Xbox support was phenomenal. You could call them and they would literally fix anything. Now, you can't even fucking get a hold of a live person. There is literally no way to call and talk to someone on the phone anymore with Microsoft support or Xbox support. They send you straight to the chat portal online. If you call the number, it says, go to our website at www.whatever, and they hang up on you. And I'm just like, I hate life. So yeah, it's the most frustrating thing in the world right now. And it seems like no one knows how to fix this issue right now, and I keep getting sent down different avenues, and I'm just being thrown across the room 20 million times. So incredibly frustrating. Hopefully, I say this in the most optimistic way I can. Hopefully, by the next week's episode, I'll be back in my account. But who knows at this point? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's crazy because you were sending you sent like 2 videos of your chat log, and like multiple times you asked to escalate the issue to supervisor, and like they were like almost not wanting to do that. And
They
it's
said,
like I don't get why.
They literally told me it's not possible to escalate this. There's no possibility of that. And then like 5 minutes down the chat, finally she says, "Okay, I'll escalate this to my manager." That's what I asked for. It's just so frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
Like what changed?
Right. Yeah.
Me not giving up pretty much is what changed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I found Reddit posts, and Christian sent me a nice Reddit post where people basically say like you just have to keep going, keep at it with them. Like you basically have to keep battling with them. It's so absurd and ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And like if it does come to the point of like I don't know if I'm getting my account back, I don't know what I'm going to do at that point. Like, I literally don't know what I'm going to do. Like, at that point, do I like try to reach out to a lawyer or something for like small claims court or something like that? Because like that's thousands of dollars. Like you cannot take away someone's time and investment that they put into that, thousands of dollars, and just be okay with, oh yeah, just create a new account. No, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. Like. So,
I've read horror stories of people like getting kind of wrongful locks on PlayStation. Granted, this is like yours is like way different because it's no one did anything and they just locked it for some reason. Right. On PlayStation was like someone tried getting into my account and that locked my account or whatever, and like that account is now permanently gone. And I've heard red nightmares about like PlayStation customer service like not being helpful, and so it sucks to see that this has been going on recently with Microsoft too. And like it seems like most companies are going web-based. Like even my own work is now web-based, and like it's extremely unhelpful for anything I try to do. Let me talk to someone that usually helps me figure stuff out very quickly.
Yeah, and Kirak says in the chat, another reason to have physical copies. I mean, that is true, but also physical copies can't replace the time and investment I put into the Master Chief Collection, where I literally have thousands of hours into it with all my unlocks unlocked. Like
even if you had like a physical version of this game, you can't. Everything, the game is online. You still lose all of that if you lose your account.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
or games tied to your account, games
right.
You own.
And I had easily over 400 games that I owned from the last 3 generations of Xbox. It's not a good feeling at all. But to put a tiny, I just say the tiniest bow on this, I did get to play 4 matches of the new mode in Halo Infinite yesterday, Last Spartan Standing, with my friend's account. He reached out to me on Twitter because he saw my posts. So shout out Travis, thank you for letting me use your account. I can also create a free account. I just haven't done that yet. But I logged in and played 4 matches of the new mode. It's actually a pretty fun mode so far from what I've played. It's like
Lone Wolf?
Yes. Last Spartan Standing is the name of the mode, but Lone Wolves is the season. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You're basically in a big team battle map, and it's a free-for-all mode. You get 5 lives per person. You have the circle that closes in on you, similar to a battle royale-like experience. And then it has like drop pods, ODST drop pods that drop in the map with like power-ups and stuff like that you can pick up. And each time you kill someone, you get XP. And as you rank up or whatever, you get better weapons. So it's kind of a combination of gun game as well, because like you can upgrade your weapons as you go. It's a ton of fun. I played 5. I think I played 5. 4? I don't know. I played 4 matches. I had 3 wins. So I came in second on one of them. But yeah.
Wow.
Had a lot of fun.
Nice. All right. Please, Phil Spencer, Master Chief, Joanna Dark, someone help Dan get his account back.
Yes.
And
Free Dan.
Free Dan, yes.
Yeah.
All right, we've made it to the topic of the show. The reason you're all here, the Square Enix deal with Embracer Group. But before we even get to that, I have a little bit of a DLC, a little add-on here before we get to that part, which is the Balan Wonderworld director Yuji Naka filed a lawsuit against Square for being removed from the Balan Wonderworld project. So Balan Wonderworld was a disappointing game for most, especially for game director Yuji Naka, the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, Naka has taken to Twitter to reveal that not only was he removed as director of Balan Wonderworld about half a year before the release in March of 2021, but he has also filed a lawsuit against the game's publisher, Square Enix, for doing so. He says that now the proceedings are over, he is free to talk about it. Obviously, this was written in Japanese, but it was translated by a Twitter user, Cheesemeister3K. So thank you, Cheesemeister. According to Naka, this is why he was removed. First, when a YouTuber's arranged piano performance of the game's music was released in the promotion instead of the original game track, turning the composer of the original game music into a ghostwriter, he insisted that the original track be released, and apparently this caused some trouble. Secondly, according to court documents, Nato Oshima told producer Fujimoto that the relationship with RZest was ruined due to comments Naka made wanting to improve the game in the face of RZest submitting the game without fixing any bugs. Yuji Naka says he is truly sorry to customers who bought Balan Wonderworld in the unfinished state. From this point onward, I will be able to react to posts tagging me or directed only toward me on SNS and such. I believe that when making games, asking for fixes in order to make something good should be given. And if that's not possible, it should be talked over. But it's not. It looks like they can't. I don't think they value games. He's talking about Square, by the way. I don't think they value games. I personally regret that Balan Wonderworld was released to the world in an unfinished state. I wanted to consider all kinds of things and release it as a proper action games. Again, I don't think Square Enix or RZS value games or their fans. So Naka was not happy. But I don't think which I heard on another podcast, I don't think the main criticism about Balan Wonderworld that it was unfinished, more so some other things. But it is interesting that it released in such a way and Yuji Naka wasn't even really a part of it. And it was not because he did a bad job, but because of just some drama that was going on behind the scenes. So that's why he was removed.
And I saw that when he was removed, Naka knew the game. Square knew the game was had issues and that it was unfinished, and still released it anyway, which is the most insane part of it, but the not very surprising part.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that on there because it kind of paints a picture of how Square might be seeing their titles, especially in the West, their titles as we continue to talk about this story. So the very first one here is Square Enix sells Western studios to Embracer Group for $3 million. Just $3 million.
300
million.
No,
300 million. Sorry. Yes, sorry. Yeah, even that would be even worse. But 300 million. Thank you for the correction. That's a huge difference. So I'm reading from IGN. Square Enix has shared some of its reasoning behind the decision to sell to Square Enix. The decision to sell sell Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Square Enix Montreal to Embracer Group, saying that the transaction will allow the company to invest more into blockchain, AI, and the cloud. So that's interesting as well. But this they sold a bunch of things like Tomb Raider, their IP, Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, Thief, Gex. There's a lot of IP that come with this this acquisition from Embracer Group. So what I want to know most from you guys is what you guys think about this acquisition. Do you think, I wrote here, 3.6 billion is what Sony paid for Bungie, and that wasn't even including Destiny. Embracer Group also bought Gearbox a little while ago for 1.3 billion, and that came with Borderlands. But they're getting all the games that I listed, the talent, the studios are getting a lot for a lot less from what others have paid. Obviously, all deals are a little bit different, but I just thought that was really low compared to what we saw. We've seen.
this is comparable to the steal that was Insomniac's acquisition by PlayStation, which was a little bit. It was like 230, 240 million, just a little bit less than this. But this is like Insomniac is like one studio. This is like multiple. This is this is huge.
Yeah, and like Embracer itself now is insanely huge. Like I think they're what, like 15,000 employees now or something crazy. Like people were talking about the acquisition of Activision for Microsoft. Like if that acquisition wasn't happening right now, I fully think Microsoft would have been going after them, especially since Crystal Dynamics is helping co-develop Perfect Dark with the initiative. So like obviously that's a perfect fit for that studio. But obviously with them still waiting on the whole whether Activision's going to be approved or not by the FTC. It's interesting, and Embracer Group, jumped on the opportunity to grab them for 300 million, and it is a steal. Like what you're saying, Ro, is totally true. It is a complete steal, and Christian. And also the interesting thing is as I alluded to before, guys,
yes,
I think it's such a cheap deal because I think Square Enix, and I kind of stole this from other people's ideas I saw on the internet, so don't take this as mine. I didn't come up with this, but like they were selling off properties to try to make themselves more appealing to be acquired. So I think that Sony now looks at Square Enix and they're like, hey, they're way more affordable now than what they were before they made this deal with Embracer Group. So they can say, hey, we can buy Square Enix now and make them part of Sony first party. And that makes a lot of sense with their Japanese studios.
Yeah.
That is something I hadn't thought of. Okay.
Yeah, that is interesting because all the Square Enix games that I associate with PlayStation are all Japanese ones. So I'm just like getting rid of all the Western ones. Like, you guys can have this for 300 million. Let's go with PlayStation now and bring what we've always brought to them. Yeah, that'll be interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I saw that what you added here, Christian or Dan, about the NFT stuff. And yeah, I did see that. Like I wrote here in the docs, do you think the NFT venture will be successful? And later on, I saw that the market dipped 92%, I believe. Yeah, sales of NFTs have declined 92% since their peak last year, and there's a lot more stuff besides that. But this seems like a very interesting,
And an extraordinary drop of active wallets, 88% since November. So way less people interacting in that space.
Yeah, so we'll see what comes of the NFT stuff, with Square. But that coupled with what Dan just explained, maybe it's not such a bad idea for them. I mean, that's if they were actually that's what they wanted to do, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like I'm not fully convinced that is what they wanted to do, because considering like they were wanting to get into NFTs beforehand, like it's not So I'm not entirely convinced. It makes sense now, especially now with the NFT market crashing, to be like, well, this isn't really working out the way we hoped it would. What about what about selling now? That could certainly be the case, but yeah. Insane. What an insane year for like acquisitions this period.
Yeah.
Very much.
Pretty nuts. You did mention this, Dan, but I just want to reiterate that Crystal Dynamics will continue to co-develop Perfect Dark, the Perfect Dark reboot, with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the studio's name.
The Initiative.
The Initiative, thank you. So that's going to continue. We don't know how much that'll affect, the move will affect it, but they are going to continue helping out. But yeah, do you think this acquisition is good, bad for the studios involved? Do you think the future for those studios is in better hands with Embracer? I can't even think of some recent Embracer. I mean, there's a lot of Embracer games technically.
Tiny Tina's
Wonderland, yeah. But yeah, do you think these guys are in good hands with Embracer, or is it too early to tell? Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. Like the problem is Embracer kind of came out of nowhere, I feel like, because they started acquiring a bunch of THQ's properties that they had, and I believe they own Deep Silver as well, which is a publisher label that's under them. So I believe they even published what's the name? The zombie game.
Zombie U.
Dead. No. Wow, I'm blanking on it. I played it with Gage and
Dead or not Dead or Alive.
Daisy.
That's not a zombie game.
no, the parkour one. Gosh,
Dying Light.
Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
Sorry, yes, I had a complete brain shutdown there. But yeah, like I think Embracer is such a large company now, as we just talked about. Like I don't know. I think we'll have to see like what this means for them. Like obviously, Square had already announced that Crystal Dynamics was working on a new Tomb Raider game, as well as co-developing Perfect Dark. So that's already a good track for them, I feel like. But as far as Eidos Montreal, yeah,
Perfect. Yep.
Who
That's where I was
knows?
going. Yeah, the question for me is not Square's developed games, but Square's published games. And like this article says, the company's overseas studios will continue to publish franchises such as Just Cause, Outriders, and Life is Strange, which is great for those franchises, right? But like the question is, what about games like Guardians of the Galaxy is the big one, right?
Yes.
That came out to like not super critical acclaim, but like it was still like a beloved game. People really enjoyed it. They want more out of it because it was like I think it won a Game Award for like best narrative or like best writing, one of those two. People want more out of that, and yet Square saw that as a disappointment, right? Because all their games were disappointment to them currently. So, like, what is that going to mean for their publishing side? Like for games like that, that is going to be the question.
How was Tomb Raider a freaking failure, Christian? Like they said that they told us numerous times that it was. No, I'm sorry, I'm not attacking. I was like asking you, like, how is that a failure? It was sold like 39 million for just the reboot series. That's insane.
Yeah. I don't. Sorry, bro.
No, I was just going to say, I like you were saying, Dan. I think they released their recent numbers for Tomb Raider, right? I don't know if that's what you're referencing. The 38 million for the reboot trilogy and 88 million lifetime for the entire franchise. But yeah, Tomb Raider was great. The reboot was awesome, but they, as you said, saw it as a disappointment. Some actual disappointments would be Babylon's Fall that came out.
Yes.
Balan Wonderworld, I guess, was not super great. Avengers, like these are, I mean, not perform. I think a lot of people actually bought that game, but the way it performed, disappointing. Right?
As a live service, probably disappointing. Yeah, but as selling, it might have
Maybe
been
not.
somewhat profitable or near it. I don't know.
Yeah, they had a lot of cosmetics in that game.
Granted, that is like a huge franchise
Right.
of the Avengers. So
Yeah.
Maybe let Eidos Montreal make an Avengers game, in the tone, or not in the tone of Guardians, but that style of game. Yeah,
I'd play it. Hell
really
yeah.
cool. And they could even use the same characters, like just not a live service game. Just do it in that world, and just use Kamala, use everybody that they already have. They don't have to start over. Just don't do exactly what they did already.
Guardians was great. Like that was like that game had heart.
I agree.
Yeah. But with this, whether it be good, whether it be bad, what do you hope to see from this? What are there any IPs that you hope resurface because of this purchase? Gex.
We joke, but like, will Gex ever come back?
Well, I guess it's possible now. But yeah, is there anything besides Gex? Maybe Gex is the one that you guys want to see. Is there any IP in Square's catalog?
I think you talked about this, Ro, on your Twitter about Sleeping Dogs, and there's still.
my God.
I think there's still some uncertainty on where like that lies right now, right? Like we don't even know who owns that right now, and it's crazy because it's a great freaking game. Like, why did we not get a sequel to that? That's such a good game.
For shame. Yes, I would love that. Oh man, I doubt it'll happen, but I would love that so much. I know Legacy of Kain is another. People are hoping to see resurface. I personally haven't played that game, but I know that it's a pretty beloved franchise, so hopefully that gets some love too. But yeah, I think I'm more excited for just things that we already know are coming, like the Tomb Raider stuff. Definitely excited to see that in the future. But yeah, as for dormant IPs, I think Sleeping Dogs is the only one that I'm super pumped for.
That's still a great pull though.
Maybe Deus Ex. But
right, yeah.
I doubt at this point. Yeah. I don't think anyone's very optimistic about a Deus Ex return, sadly.
True.
Well, Christian,
Yes.
And this
What?
is it. We've reached the end.
Oh, that's the end. That's the end. Okay.
I want to know what your video game.
If you've stuck around this far, yeah, it's time for my video game fun fact. For context, Ro was talking about Final Fantasy 13. He was talking about Lightning. Of course, I know Lightning because I have to know. Like, if there's a cute girl in a video game, like I have to know. So Lightning was a name that I knew, and so I was like, I'm gonna look at pictures of Lightning while Ro talks because sure I can do that. And as I'm looking at this, I am hit with this fun fact that I saw on TikTok this week, and that's when I started laughing. So, did you know in Nier Automata there are more pixels on 2B's ass than there is in the entirety of Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time? The entirety.
Wow,
Yeah.
you could play the entire game on 2B's butt.
Oh my god! And I would. What a delicious pixel.
Oh my goodness, they spent extra time on 2B's butt. I know.
I joke, right? Like, first of all, it is a phenomenal ass. 2B's fantastic, but like, I want everyone to know, like, I don't like that game because I'm horny. That's just a byproduct.
It's just a good game.
That's just a byproduct. Yeah, it's just a great game. Yeah, a lot of philosophical inquiry that like really fascinates me in that game.
It's just a bonus that 2B's cute.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yes, thank you everyone, and thank you Christian for that little.
You got it, boss.
Next week's host, Gage, Dan. Tune in next week to find out. Thank you everyone again for watching and joining us live on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter, as well as podcast. I don't think we're on Twitter anymore, actually. As well as podcast services everywhere, including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SoundCloud, Spotify, and Stitcher. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Gage. I'm Rashan, and this has been Podcast PXN. Later will be greater.
Much love.
And keep on playing Nier Automata, please.